Hey there, fellow pickers. My name is Mike Croft, and I'm coming to you from the redwoods of Northern California.
Hi, everybody. My name is Carl Mandrilli, coming to you from Castle Rock, Colorado.
What's going on, buddy? It's good to be back with you again.
Back for another episode, better than ever. That's right. Just you and me this time again. So, are you bringing it? Are you ready?
I'm always bringing it, brother. Just because we don't have guests doesn't mean that our listeners don't like seeing our two faces.
Or more likely listening to our two faces. I don't think
If
there's a
you're
lot
an
of people
audio,
seeing us on YouTube yet, but that's okay.
hey, it's growing. It's getting up there. Come on, we're up to
Okay,
53, man. We're big time now.
53. That for YouTube, that is big time for sure. For sure. So I was at the grocery store today and I was shopping for some backpacking food. And
Mhm.
my son and I were there and noticed a cart, like not one of the grocery carts, but like, like a stocking cart going by that had all this like
Mhm.
broken cardboard and
Yeah.
just like a pile of bubble wrap just kind of
Ooh,
scooching on by. Would you have said anything?
I would have grabbed the bubble wrap for sure.
Okay, so you
That's cool.
you wouldn't have said anything. You just like yanked it off of the cart away from the ladies that were pushing it.
No. I would have
Okay.
asked them. I would have said, "Hey, what are you doing with that? Do you mind if I have it?" Or that would be a good opportunity. Well, they probably have one of those compactors in the back, but that might be a good opportunity to be like, "Go look at that recycle bin. See what they look like back there." What
Right.
kind of a, oh, it was a grocery store. You said that,
Yeah.
right?
So they don't typically like usually the stuff that they're stocking, the food doesn't have bubble wrap. I think it's the extra accessories, like all the hard goods, right? Like the
Mm,
plates, and we have like a really big store that has all sorts of extra
yeah.
things, like the utensils and I don't know, whatever. So I'm guessing
Mhm.
that's what that was from. But yeah, I stopped him and I was like, "Are you throwing that away? Can I have that, please?"
Yeah. So you got a bunch of extra bubble wrap. How much was it? A lot or just a little bit?
Yeah, it was like, I don't know, if you like shove it in a grocery cart, probably take up like a quarter of the cart. So a decent
Okay,
amount.
that's a
Yeah.
decent amount.
I was,
Yeah.
it's just right there. It's free. So yeah, I was like, am I weird for doing this or would Mike do this too?
Oh yeah, I definitely would do that, especially the
Okay.
bubble wrap. What I would avoid is the air peanuts, the big ones, the big
Hmm.
air peanuts.
Right.
Those I'm getting way too many of. I love using them because they take up a lot of space and they make your product really secure.
Hmm.
But man, I just don't have the room anymore.
Right. Yeah. I actually used to use those. I don't use those anymore because I think they're like a guaranteed mess at this point.
What do you mean? The big packing peanuts?
Yeah, like if I'm gonna pack anything with those, or if I'm gonna, get anything
Huh?
out with those, they are going everywhere. No matter how careful I am, they're just going everywhere.
No. The big air peanuts, not the little tiny styrofoam peanuts, but the big air pocket peanuts or air pillows. Maybe that's what they're called. I
Oh
don't know.
yeah,
If you guys know what the official name is for it, let us know what it is. I They might be called air pillows. Do you know what I'm talking about? The big.
yeah. That's not packing peanuts. Those are very, very different things. Rookie
Oh,
mistake number
okay.
one is know your packing material, my friend, especially if you're hosting a podcast.
Know your verbiage. Yeah, I just got confused. Come on, give me a break.
Yeah, I'll do the air pillows, of
Jeez,
course. Yeah, those are easy.
air pillows. Yeah.
Okay.
No,
All right.
they take up a ton of room though, don't they? Or where do you have yours? Where do you
Yeah.
stash yours?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I've got like a storage area. It sounds like you got more than I do. I try to use it as fast as possible because they do take up a lot of space. You're right about
Mhm,
that, but I don't have
mhm.
a ton. I've got like, I don't know, a box full. That's not too
Mm,
much.
no,
So,
it's not too much at
yeah,
all.
yeah. Anyway,
Yep.
so we got rookie mistakes that resellers might make. I think we're hitting a lot of different categories with this one. I'm excited what you have on your list, and I don't know. Does it feel weird to come up with rookie mistakes when you're still kind of a rookie?
No, it's perfect because I'm deep into this knowledge right now. I'm learning all this stuff.
Right.
Got it all going on.
Right.
Yep.
And what I like about like the way we're going to talk about this is that people that have been doing this for a while, or people that have, they're the veterans,
Yeah.
they're kind of checking. They're like, am I making any of these mistakes? Am I, kind of like when you're
Okay.
learning something, you try to pick up, tips and tricks. And even if you're already a veteran, there's always
Mhm.
new things to learn. So, or you might disagree with us, right?
Yeah, I hope so. You know what really bothers me is when the veterans, when they're like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you're making those mistakes." But you know what? I guarantee you that they made those mistakes when they're first starting
Mm,
out too. It's like, don't you remember when you first started? It's like give people a break, bring them up,
yeah.
show them what's going on,
Right.
kind
Yeah.
of
I think
educate them.
Yeah, I feel like people are less gracious in that area because there's so much information out there. It feels like if you just kind of poke around a little bit, you can learn a lot fast. But some
Sure.
people don't poke around. They kind of dive right into something. And so they're not getting that information up front. So I have to be reminded about that too. Even in, like in the hiking world where people will go out with, jean jackets and jeans on, and you're like, it's everywhere to not do that. Like you
Mm,
don't do that because if you're
mhm.
going to go for a long hike, it's just dangerous and, it's heavy. The jeans absorb the water and it can, cause hypothermia, all sorts of stuff. But people constantly make that mistake because they're not always digging around doing research ahead of time. So
So, did we just turn this into a backpacking podcast? Is that what's going
I used an analogy. So
on?
yeah,
Nice. All
I
right.
can I can tie it back. It's about learning as you go. So at least if they're listening to this podcast, they're going to be, they're actually doing some
Yeah.
research potentially.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
we'll see if we got some good ones for you.
I don't like how it's so saturated. There's so much information out there. You got to sift through. Gosh, when I try to look something up on YouTube, it's like I got to sift through all kinds of videos to find the information that I'm looking for. It's just
Right.
so saturated out there. It's crazy.
Yeah, and there's some videos that actually have good information, but it takes a while to get to it in the video. And you're just like blah blah
Mhm.
blah, kind of like what we're doing right now. Actually, we haven't gotten to our list yet, so let's go, man.
All
Let's do
right.
this. What's the
List number one.
yeah? What you got?
Number one is near and dear to my heart because you all know that I've struggled with this one myself. And it is shipping costs, shipping sizes, shipping weights. Super important to get those down right.
So what's the
How-
mistake? What's the rookie mistake people are making?
The rookie mistake that I made personally was I underestimated the shipping weight. And as you know, if it goes anything over 1 pound, it jumps up significantly. I think it's like 2, 4, 6, 8 ounces. And then anything over 1 pound goes up significantly.
Mm-hmm.
So like if I underrated that thing by a pound or a pound and a half, that's $8-9 that
Yeah.
that I've lost out in my listing. And that was when I was doing free shipping. The way that I've gotten away from that is I just don't do free shipping anymore. I do all calculated shipping. I
Okay.
do a pretty good estimate on what the weight's going to be and then put it in there and maybe add a few ounces on top of that too. And then
Okay.
the shipping size is the same way. And Jen just started listing things too. I was teaching her this last
And
weekend.
Jen is Mike's wife, just FYI.
Jen's my wife.
Yep.
She's actually the Pickers podcast newest employee, and
Mm,
I didn't cover that in the beginning, but she's officially started selling on eBay.
okay.
She's going to start sourcing for us too, or sourcing for our store.
Cool.
But when I was teaching her how to list, she grabbed one of the boxes or one of the items and she's measuring it out, and she just measured like an inch or two on each side, and it was a smaller item. I'm like, honey, you got to think about the box that you're going to put it in and put that measurement in there. And she's
Right.
like, oh, it's just an inch or two. And I'm thinking to myself, so I said, are there any boxes in our supply right now that you think are that size? And I'm like,
Right.
you gotta know what you have in your inventory for supplies and make sure you make an educated dimensions on that and your weight.
So okay. So it sounds like you were scolding your wife about not measuring boxes
No, I was
correctly,
not
and
scolding her.
okay, sorry.
I was trying to
Measure
teach her.
correctly. What are our
No,
boxes in our inventory? Learn. I'm just kidding.
I'm very, very intentional about the way that I word things because I want her to enjoy this process. I
Yeah.
don't want it to be overwhelming and for her to be like, oh my God, I don't want to do this,
Right.
before she even gets started.
Well, I got to say that I'm on Team Jen on this one because honestly, if I have to go either think about or go like investigate the boxes in my inventory
Mhm,
every single time I list something, do I have a box that fits this? Is it an
mhm.
inch or two bigger? Then, oh my gosh, that's going to take stinking forever.
Well,
So
what do you do?
I just assume I've got a box somewhere in the same size. I just assume my weight's close. I don't mind if I'm a pound or two off if it's like a heavier item. And then I just look at the shipping options and I just pick a cheaper one. So if the priority mail is too expensive, usually there's like a FedEx home delivery or something, and they're all kind of in the same range in terms of when they get
Yeah.
there. And so I just kind of look at the best option there. And I haven't had
Mhm.
anybody challenge me on that where they're like, you said priority mail and it came FedEx and it came a day later. Like it's typically,
Right.
I think people just expect it to be within like a a week time frame. If it gets there, it gets there. So that's my solution. But I've been doing this for a while, so I get you want to make sure you're on point early on.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I have to because I've lost a lot of money
Yeah.
doing not calculating the shipping.
And full
right.
disclosure, like we already mentioned, you're in California, I'm in Colorado, so shipping's very different. I'm very centrally
Oh,
located,
sure.
so it's easier for me to kind of generally guess how much it's going to cost. Whereas you are in, on one side of the U.S., and so the cost might be quite a bit different.
Yeah, sure is.
Solution:
But that's
move to Colorado.
move to Colorado, move to central United States.
That's
But
right.
I think that I really picked that one because I think that's the main one that people get hung up on in the beginning, right? It's the hardest one to think about.
Mm-hmm.
The USPS mail service, it has so many options, so many different boxes, flat rate, zone 1, zone 2. It's just overwhelming. And so I think really honing in on those shipping, that is the number one thing that I think is the most common mistakes, and also something that we need to dial in when we first
Right.
get started.
And kind of along the lines of what Mike's saying too, in terms of a rookie mistake that I made back in the day, was it took me a lot longer than you would think for me to buy a scale. Like it seems like that's one of the first
Oh,
things you'd want to get, but because scales were like, I don't know, $35, and kind of similar to Mike, I wasn't making a lot of money early on each of my sales. I was like, I don't want to spend all my profit on a scale.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I was, just do it. If you plan on doing this for a long time, it's worth it. Just do it. So that's kind of 1B to Mike's 1A, so to speak.
Get the scale. All right. What
Scale.
you got?
All right. Rookie mistake: becoming a chatty Cathy when you're sourcing in a time sensitive area.
Is that directed at me? Directly at me?
What are you talking about? Are you talking about
Because
from last garage sale extravaganza?
yeah, because you know that I sit there and like to talk, and you're like, go, 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 go.
You did great, man. Like oh man, I've gone with other people. It's hard to go with other people in general. If you're both sourcing and one person's like, "Oh, let me investigate this box full of stuff," and you don't see anything that's there for you, and you're ready to go, and you got to sit there and wait. That's frustrating. That's next level stuff. But anyway, if you are at like a community garage sale, you're at the bins, you're in a place where you just got to sift through a lot of things fast, or perhaps there's other pickers there that are going to get ahead of you. They're going to try to, look at the same items you might have. I've come across areas where like they have sold things minutes ahead of me that I was looking for. They told me, "Oh, we just sold that." That happens almost every single time I go out there. And so I try to be very pleasant and very conversational in a very efficient way, but I'm not looking to necessarily like garner a friendship when it's time sensitive. Now, if it's like, a day where there's only a few out there and it's not time sensitive, then absolutely be a chatty Cathy. But when you just got to be aware that like the longer you hang out at a sale, the more things are getting picked over at other sales, right?
Exactly. That's true. So you
Okay.
got a little bit of fear of missing out, or you've experienced missing out, but
It's not fear. It's like actually happened. Yeah.
yeah, but you're not going to avoid that. I mean, I
No,
get where
no,
you're
no,
going.
but you can, limit it, minimize
Mitig-
it.
Mitigate it, sure. So
Yeah.
what you're saying is when you see that kid on his what do they call those? The play what are the handheld ones? The not the PlayStations.
Game
Oh, the
systems.
Switch.
Yeah.
So when you see the kid with the Switch and it's got Mario, you can see Mario on the back of it. You're just walking right by and you're snatching that thing out of his hands real quick and saying, "I want this." Got
No,
it.
I have come across that before. Somebody has things in their hands that I want, and or they're like sifting through, so they got like multiple things in their hands, and I'm waiting for them to put things back. They don't usually put the ones
Right.
down that I want though. So
Exactly. They know what they want.
yeah, I've been that close, my friend, that close. All right, that was my number one. What's your
That's
next
good.
one? Number two.
My number two would be something that I didn't realize was so important, but I have actually experienced missing sales because of this, but it's take good photos of your items. So,
Mm,
and what I mean by that is, the iPhones are really good cameras. You don't need to invest in a fancy DSLR or a mirrorless camera.
right.
Just use your iPhone, but make sure that it's well lit, that you don't have some kind of a funky background. Guy, I actually saw this listing one day. This guy was sitting on the couch and he just had the item in his hand. He took a picture of it and you could see his legs underneath the item. And and he's in
And you
these
thought his legs
boxer
were
shorts.
gross, like they were too hairy
Well,
or something.
I don't want to see somebody's legs in a picture that I'm looking for an item. Come on, it's silly. Like
Okay.
like you're talking about the shadow boxes, the light up boxes are going for about 20-30 bucks now. So just invest in a nice kind of entry level shadow box that gives you some good LED lights and you can light it up. And then
Really? You think somebody who's just starting out should invest in that?
if you're going to be serious about this, so let's think about it. We're investing in a scale for 30 bucks. We're investing in a shadow light up box for 20 bucks, 25 bucks.
Okay.
So now you're 50 bucks into this thing, right? That's not that much, is it?
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because I haven't invested in that and I haven't needed to. I'm sure that some pictures are better than others. But when I see something that's like presented really well on eBay, like when I'm the buyer, I
Mm-hmm.
like sometimes I skip past it because I just I want something where I know it's, not necessarily like a refurbished or even like counterfeit item. To me, it looks like it's like almost too professional that I just want to look at something that looks real. I don't want the legs in the picture. I get what you're saying about that, but
Mm-hmm.
I just look for something where I'm like, okay, that guy bought it from, I don't know, a retail store that
Yeah.
is trustworthy. So yeah, it's a good, I think, yeah, I get what you're saying. I don't know.
So,
What does everyone else think out there? Is it better to have the light up box? When you're a buyer, do you like the professional pictures or does it make it look a little bit less authentic to you? That's my question.
or do you like to see people's legs in their pictures?
I don't want to see the
Just
legs. I
asking.
don't want to
Just
see the
asking.
legs. Okay, unless
No,
they're really muscular and that they're inspiring. That's about it though.
inspiring, motivating. No, you bring up good points. Like on a kitchen table, make sure it's not a dirty kitchen table. Wipe it down, clean it up, something
Right.
like that. I
Right.
mean, you don't want grossness in your pictures, right? You want to be an attractive picture to attract your buyers to your
Right.
pictures,
Absolutely. Okay.
right? Cool. I
That
like
part's
that.
good. I agree with that. That's the second part.
Yeah.
Okay, my number 2 is be very careful about putting yourself in a position of weakness as a seller. All right. So what that means
Mm,
is like there's something that you really want to sell, but it's either going to move really slow or maybe it won't move at all. And so anytime somebody shows even a little bit of interest, you feel like you've got to kind of cave in on a lot of things, whether it's the price or whether it's the meeting spot. Like somebody, contacts you from an hour away. They're like, I can't drive an hour to buy that. And then you're like, oh, then I'll meet you halfway. Well, I don't have a car. Okay, I'll drive all the way there.
oh,
And then, now you're like investing gas money into it. And then
yeah.
sometimes they don't even, you're not even there. And so just
Yeah.
putting yourself in a position of weakness is typically something that happens when you make a risky purchase on something where you're not sure. Maybe you think it's valuable. Maybe you haven't done full research on it, but you
Mhm.
invest a lot of money or a lot of time in something, whether it's, fixing it, cleaning, whatever, and now it's just sitting there with you. And so now you've got to deal with all the people that are hassling you, asking
Mhm.
you to cave in on things. To me, that's like the least fun part about this whole thing.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. If you start delivering stuff, gas is expensive these days, man. You
Yeah,
need to mark that thing up if you're gonna deliver it.
especially in
That,
California.
yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
And that kind of went with one of mine. It was on one of the ones that I had was overvaluing items. So
Mm.
knowing the value of an item.
Hmm.
So like
Similar. Yeah.
when you have something or when you go to source something like a thrift store or Goodwill, you might look at it and be like, oh, I'm gonna make 75 bucks on this thing, and then you get home and it's not worth 20 bucks, or it's
Right.
comps are only going for 20-25 bucks,
Yeah.
and say you paid 20 or 25 bucks and
Right.
you drove to the store,
Hmm.
the cost of your time and everything, so you could be out of wash with it.
Yeah.
So when you're out there sourcing, make sure that you know the value of the product. That's not
It,
not just what the value is, but what it's going to sell for, what the comps are selling for on eBay.
right. And full disclosure, you may not, I mean, you can't always know the value of a product, right? So, for example, when I bought that engine lift last summer, I only invested 20 bucks in it, but it did take some time to go pick up with my truck and it's massive in my
Mm-hmm.
garage. And so that was a risk. And so I didn't know it, like, if it doesn't sell, like I haven't wasted a lot of money on it, but I am wasting a lot of space, and it's not an easy thing to dispose of. What do
Yep.
you do at that point? Like I could bring it to like a scrap metal yard that's like 45 minutes from my house. So that risk paid off, but just kind of, being willing to take those risks and understanding that. So it's not always like a money
Right.
thing. It could be a space issue or, like a cleaning hassle kind of thing. So,
It is.
on the flip side though, like when you're in a position of strength, when you know what something's worth, like recently I sold a backpack online and I had it listed. I was pretty confident I had it at a good price. And they didn't lowball me, but they offered me about, I don't know, 20 to 25% less than my list price. And I
Mhm.
wasn't accepting offers on the auction. And so if I was feeling like I was in a position of weakness, I might have caved on that, or I might have even like tried to renegotiate, but I just was like, nope, I feel like I'm in a position of strength. So I just politely declined. And then within a few minutes ended up selling for the full price.
Yeah,
So yeah,
that's good.
it feels better that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's good. I had a similar situation on I had a point and shoot camera that I've had for 10 years, and going through my stuff, letting Jen list the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We put it up for 35 bucks. The guy offered me 25 or 27 and
Mm-hmm.
I accepted it. And then he turns around and says, "Oh no, I don't want it," which was super annoying. So I
Right.
relisted it and turned around and, within a half a day, somebody paid me full price for it. So it
Yeah.
was pretty cool.
Yes.
And I
I
like
like
that.
that. Yeah, that's happened
Yep.
for sure.
It was good stuff.
So yeah, and what's weird with that kind of stuff too is it can go like the other direction too, where like you have two of something, the exact same thing, and you'll sell one of them immediately, and then the other one won't sell like at all, and then you
Right.
got to like lower the price on it to get to to move. That's
Yeah,
happened to
it's
me
crazy.
recently, actually.
Yeah, and 35 was actually high for this point and shoot camera too. I was
Yeah.
surprised that we got a ton of watchers right off the bat and then
Right.
got an offer within a half a day.
Nice, man.
It's been exciting.
Nice. All right. So number 3, what you got?
Number 3. Okay, so going along with the air pillows theme and packing supplies. So is accounting for
you
cost.
you love shipping stuff. You love talking
I'm a
shipping stuff.
shipping nerd now. I really am. That's
Okay.
crazy.
That's so
Now that
funny.
I'm hearing myself process all this stuff, yes, I am geeking out on shipping.
Okay.
But it goes along with not only shipping costs. So if you don't have a good place to source boxes and peanuts and packaging and stuff like that,
Right.
you have to pay for tape. You do have to pay for printing supplies. Like, I mean, you may have recycled paper like some of us do, but some of us may pay for some shipping labels, and then you could get to a point where you start paying for boxes if you don't have a place where you can source boxes, and you
Mm.
really need to factor in that stuff, because if you're only making so if you're in the mindset of let's move as much product as we can for 2 5 10 bucks profit, well, you've got to factor in those other costs, because that $2 is going to get reduced
Mhm.
significantly, and we start adding in your boxes, your packing pillows, your
Mhm.
labels, your ink you're using, the gas you're
Right.
using to take it to the store.
Right.
So and eBay takes their cut off of the top, and then you've got to pay taxes on the income at the end of the year. Before you know it, like 45% of the income is gone. It's crazy.
You're scaring people now, Mike. We're not using fear tactics here to
No.
dissuade people from doing this. But like boxes though, I feel like boxes should not be a problem for most people because we're getting so much stuff sent to our house these days. Like that's an
Mhm.
easy source of boxes, right? You just kind of save, like you tend to know
Yeah.
what size boxes you need and what size
Yeah.
boxes you're gonna have, especially as you get more experience. But can't you just like dig around in your neighbor's recycling bin when the like before the vehicle comes to pick it up?
Yeah. You can, but I'm telling you, when I first started out and I was researching a lot of stuff, a lot of people on the internet were saying, don't use other labeled boxes, don't use Amazon boxes, use clear
Why?
boxes. I don't know. They were
Hmm.
just saying that it's bad for your brand. And I'll tell you what,
Okay.
I've shipped stuff in all different kinds of boxes. It doesn't even
Hmm.
matter to me.
Yeah.
Uh,
I like to recycle. So that's actually not, I get the concept of the brand, especially if you have a lot of repeat buyers. We're not
mhm.
talking to those folks, I don't think. I think we're talking people that are starting
Yeah,
out. I have definitely had repeat buyers, definitely, but they've not been deterred by recycled boxes or packaging stuff.
right.
And I don't have that many of them. I mean, if you're talking about eBay, there's such a wide net you can cast for potential buyers. If you're selling more locally and you're reaching out. I guess locally, you're not even using
Mhm.
boxes, right? You're just kind of delivering things or they're picking it
Yeah.
up. But I don't know. I'd be curious. Okay, if you have experience with why you shouldn't do that, if you're trying to build a brand and you're, I don't know, maybe you're a content provider, what's the thought there? So let us know.
What's your opinion? Let us know at Pickers Podcast,
That's right.
all media apps. No, I don't care anymore, and that's what I think we're trying to get across to our listeners is that it doesn't matter if you're selling recycling an old Amazon box or, a bean box or whatever it is. I think there are some legitimate requirements from the postal service. Like I don't think it can be an alcohol box. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think it can. There's a few certain stipulations that you can probably find on the UPS.
Yeah, you're right. There's something else too.
US,
But yeah,
yes.
good call. All right, my next one is don't become a desperate buyer. Desperate buyer. You've been
What do you
looking
mean
for
by that?
good stuff all day and you're just not finding anything. And so it's towards the end of the day, and you're like, man, I got to come up with something. Otherwise, it's a complete waste of time. And so you compromise and buy something that's risky that you wouldn't normally buy. And I've done that a few times, and I'm probably going to make that mistake again this year, to be honest. Like, this is just a rookie mistake that I keep on making. I just hate wasting my time. I get very frustrated. And so I've gotten a little bit better with that over the years. I feel like last year, if I've gone for part of the day and I'm just not finding anything, I'm like, you know what, this is just not going to be my day, and I just stop. But I've made some purchases at the end of the day just because I feel like I got to come up with something, and then they don't usually sell.
No, that's a very valid point. I don't even know if I would be able to control myself. I would
Mm,
feel defeated if I went out all day and didn't come back with anything.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
especially if you take the time to research all the yard sales that are around town,
Mm-hmm.
you go and do all the yard sales and then you don't find anything. Gosh,
Right.
that takes some self-control, man.
It's tough, and I don't research the yard sales unless it's like a community sale. Typically, I'm just research like if it's not like our community sales are typically like May, June. So once
Mhm.
after June, there's like a loop I drive around in a nearby town, and so I'm not researching. But like a lot of times that loop I drive has a ton of garage sales, and I find a lot. And sometimes I find
Mhm.
literally nothing. And I don't know. You'd think that even on bad days I'd find a few things, but it's like all
Mhm.
or nothing. So it's mostly
Are
yeah, it's mostly good. But anyway.
are you getting up
So
too late? Are you getting up too late and missing the early bird sales? Is that what's
probably,
happening?
probably.
Yeah.
Anyway, so don't become a desperate buyer. What's your next one?
My last tip, and I think it's the best one, it's the best one for me and it's something that I learned, I just stumbled on it by accident, but I didn't niche down to one thing. I shotgunned everything when I went out there and bought stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I bought electronics, I bought books, I bought postcards, I bought matchbooks, I just went out and bought everything because I wanted to see what was gonna sell. I wanted to have a
Yeah.
big inventory, what was gonna sell. And that's worked out for me really well, even
Mm-hmm.
though I didn't know about some of the stuff and I did lose some money on some of the things. And that could probably be a tip number 4.A is knowing when to let go of stuff. Like
Right.
I still have those book of life books that we talked about in the last episode that I need to get rid of, but I'm just so positive that they're going to sell.
Right.
And I just need to make room for them, man. But
That's so
I
funny.
don't I don't just have one set of one thing in my garage.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, right? If you're good at video games and that's all you do, or if you sell sneakers and you're good at it, go for it.
Right. Yeah, I think that's good. I think I took a different approach where I was looking for just a few things at first, things that were achievable and findable, and then I would try to learn one thing or two things really well a year. Does
Mhm.
this sell? And then as you're learning things, the market changes. So something that you were really
Yeah,
well versed in, suddenly that's not valuable anymore.
yeah,
And or you don't see them as much, right? And so then okay,
yeah.
that you take that thing away, but maybe you add something else. So I just kind of add to my inventory. There's some things that I would sell. Man, there's one year where I found like 4 or 5. I think they're like this is kind of a controversial item, but they were radar detectors. So like people
Oh,
that
mhm.
just want to make sure they don't get a speeding ticket.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I saw those all over the place. And I bought a couple and they, for like 10, $15 and they sold for hundreds of dollars. And I was like, whoa, like I gotta buy
Whoa.
these all the time.
Yeah.
And then I saw like one a year after that. And the ones I saw were not even worth anything. And then I just stopped seeing them altogether. So
Oh. Random. How
I don't know.
weird.
So I don't even know if
Jeez.
they're, yeah. And then I think at one point they weren't even allowed to be listed on one of the sites I was listing on. And anyway,
Uh,
but yeah. So you kind of
gotcha.
add and you take away. That's good. Everyone's
Yeah.
got their own
And
style.
getting to know stuff.
Yeah.
And I guess it might go with your personality too. What do you think about this? Your personality, if you have a personality where you love learning things, and then so you can, yeah, okay, I want to learn about Star Wars or
That's your
Matchbox
personality, right?
cars. It is. It is. It deeply is my personality. I love learning new things. Like I'm
Yeah.
sitting here, the camera is propped up on a stack of records, which I wish that I could sell, but I just
Right.
can't do it. And
Right.
I wish I could become an expert at them, but there's just so much to them. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, no, I like learning things too. Depends on how, if it gets too
Mm,
complicated and it's not something that I like, I'm going to care about in the future, then I can't, I kind of give up a little bit, but
yeah.
I got one more tip. My last one is, I think we've talked about this one a little bit, but this is trusting the seller when they say something works or that all the parts and pieces are there. Or worse, if they identify you as a reseller and they actually give you advice on what is going to resell well at their sale. They're like, oh, you want
Oh,
something valuable? Check out this right here. Like these things are top notch. I'm only selling them for X amount of dollars. I've
I
had that
see.
happen a couple times.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
never trust the seller. Like assume that there might be something wrong with it, or just be
mm,
prepared there could be. I've had, like the nicest people have promised me things that have just never come true. There was even one sale that was like for charity, and the guy's like, I was in the tech industry. I have all these boxes of these handheld, I don't know, it was like cell phones for the office. I don't even know what they were. And he's like, I'm only selling them for $5 a piece. They're brand new in the box. We just got an
mhm,
abundance of them. These will sell for, 40, $50 on eBay, maybe more. And I
mhm.
checked, and there were some that were listed, but there weren't like a lot. So it was unclear if they were selling or not. And so I bought a bunch of them, and like none of them sold.
Oh,
So
wow. Jeez.
yeah. Anyway, so yeah,
Yep.
just yeah, be very wary of the seller. They don't always mean harm. It's just that they want to sell something, and some are going to cut corners with what they tell you, and some just aren't going to be
Mhm.
knowledgeable about the situation.
Yep. You gotta always look for the pieces and always open up the battery covers for corrosion. God,
Mm,
I wish that
hmm
I could grasp that one. I just keep on getting corroded
Yeah,
stuff. It's crazy.
yeah, for sure. That's a good
But
one too.
I mean, it's easy enough to clean up, but it's still annoying. You got to spend time on it.
Right,
Stupid.
right. So okay, we got through about like I don't know, it was like 8 to 10 ish. I want to say all told. Did we hit everything you wanted to hit on?
Yeah, I think we covered the basics and we got into some of the more expert level common mistakes. Don't you
Yeah.
feel like accounting fees and eBay fees and supply fees?
And we covered some
That's
shipping stuff.
that's expert. That's expert level right there.
I don't know about expert
Man,
level. I
we're
think
leveling up.
hopefully it was one or two of the tips was helpful to somebody out there. But you know what we're doing, Mike, is we're
What's that?
bringing back trivia.
Oh, I've gotten a few people that really enjoy doing trivia, but
Okay.
I'm horrible at it. So
Yeah.
as long
So
as you can
we're
bear
gonna
with
do like
my
we're gonna do a slow rollout where like also I got trivia for today. I
okay,
have some questions for you.
you
I do
softballs.
want to add some tension to the situation where we got to start tracking, who's winning, who's losing,
Yeah,
so that by the end of the season we have some sort of something on the line,
yeah,
something like we talked early on, I think season or episode 1, episode 2, where whoever lost had to do like a cold call at a house asking if they
yeah.
had particular products, and that
Oh
freaked
man,
you out, right?
it did.
Yeah.
It freaked my wife out too. She came in and told me after she listened to the episode. She said, "I am not going to that house with you if you lose trivia."
Okay. And I guess I don't know why this is so scary because you're very personable. And so I just feel like if somebody's already out in the street, you got a
Yeah.
flyer, like how it's such low risk, man. So low
Oh
risk.
yeah. Go knocking on a stranger's door.
No,
Yeah,
I just said
that's
they're
low
already out in the
risk.
street. That maybe they're mowing their lawn. Maybe they're just like playing catch the kid, whatever. Just be like, oh, hey, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. Scrap a
Okay.
conversation.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm actually like a picker, and I got, if you have some things laying around that are on this list and you hand them a flyer, boom. Like, how hard is that?
For me, it's very difficult.
Okay, is it harder for you to do that or harder for you to come with me and watch me do it while you're standing there?
Oh, I think I could go there and watch you do it while you're staying there.
Okay.
Because that's a good point. Because I was uncomfortable. We did something else together for backpacking. There's a point where I was uncomfortable asking people for a certain thing, and I watched you do it a few times, and made me be more comfortable. So that's what we need to do. I need to watch you be awkward first, and then
I'm
it'll
not
help me be
awkward.
awkward.
Everybody, no, you just smile and you're very warm and friendly, and then yeah.
It's still awkward no matter which way you
I
do
think
it.
your lack of confidence in talking to strangers, you're confusing that for awkwardness. That's not the same thing. Okay.
It's an awkward feeling inside. It's not saying that you're being awkward or that I would
You
be
just said I was
awkward.
being awkward. You literally just said
No,
that.
it's an awkward situation.
Okay. I don't think so. But you know what?
Okay.
We'll work on that. So we'll circle back to what that's going to be. But I got 3 garage sale trivia questions for you. You ready?
All right. Garage sale trivia questions. What do you got? Are they softballs or are they hard balls?
I think my questions are always achievable, but you can judge afterwards.
I've heard your questions before. They're not always achievable.
Okay.
What year was Smokey Bear born?
That's not one of my. I would never ask that. How would you know the answer to that? That's not achievable.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's okay. Number 1, you roll up on a garage sale, and at first glance, you see a lot of pink stuff.
All right.
What types of items did you expect to find at the sale?
Probably a lot of clothes, or you could find a lot of Funko Pops or something like that too. It could be a lot of toys. You never know. Mm-hmm.
Toys. Okay. All right.
Yep. Or girl stuff.
Girl stuff. Girl stuff. That's what it is. Girl stuff. Yep. It's usually young girl stuff. It's usually just, like you're saying toys, but young girl toys. You might find other stuff too, but that's typically what you're going to see there.
That's good. Yeah.
And maybe baby stuff too.
I'm not stereotyping. If you like pink stuff, go for it. It's all yours.
Are you saying like if dudes like pink stuff?
Yeah. I mean, a guy can like pink stuff, right?
No, I'm not a pink stuff guy.
That's not.
If you're a dude that likes pink stuff, we're not on the same page. Okay. Number 2, somebody is giving away an old, dirty Little Tikes plastic play structure for free.
Yeah.
Okay. You've got room for it, and it won't take too long to load. What's the right move here?
If it's just dirty and not broken, I'm picking that sucker up. Okay. I can put a little elbow grease in it, squirt off the pressure washer or something like that. For sure.
Correct. That's going to make you some money for sure. Yeah. It's not broken, it's the key. Even if it's like a little bit wonky, I would still pick it up for sure.
Especially like vintage stuff. Those vintage toys go for a ton of money. It's crazy.
Wait, toys? What are you thinking when I'm talking about?
That you're talking about a playset, a Little Tikes playset. That's a toy. Yeah, that'd be considered a toy category.
Play structure is a toy? Like a swing set's a toy?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. I think we're categorizing these differently. I just want to make sure you know what I was talking about. All right.
What would you categorize it as? A household item?
Outside furniture.
Okay. Deck furniture, patio furniture,
kid furniture.
Check.
Just like play equipment. I don't know. Sporting equipment.
Toys.
I don't know.
Another word for it is toys.
Whatever. Number 3, you go to an old person sale where things are massively overpriced. And just to clarify, old person sale is, retired person who has all the time in the world, and you're seeing some really old things. Typically dishes are there, like the notorious dishes. All right.
Yeah.
So they're massively overpriced. You can do one of 3 options. You can A, leave immediately. B, try to wear them down with kindness and negotiation. All right. Assuming you see something you like. C, play hardball by showing them comps online if you find something you like.
I love it.
Be like, are you sure you want to charge $80? It's going brand new for $60.
Yeah.
I'll give you $30.
Yeah. So I'd probably go with B because like you talked about, I like to be a talker. So I'd probably go in there and talk to them and probably try to get them down a little bit for sure.
Okay. So you violated my first rookie mistake, which is becoming a chatty Cathy when you're sourcing. And that person is not going to be worn down. I would say like 9 out of 10 times they're not going to be worn down. And it's just a waste of time other than any relationship you forge there. So best answer is A, leave immediately.
Leave immediately and go to the next one. But then you don't get to meet a new person. I mean, don't you want to meet new people
at the next one?
Life?
The next one.
At the next one. Okay.
Okay, and maybe I'm like biased against people that heavily overprice their items. Like I view garage sales specifically as, people are trying to get rid of things. They might make a few bucks, but if you're trying to like make money, you should be selling on, Facebook, eBay, all the different places. If you're having a garage sale, so be like, let's get this stuff out of the house and let's make a few bucks. right?
Yep.
So
Yeah,
that's my
that's
bias.
interesting that you say that because we had a multifamily yard sale not too long ago, and so we're getting stuff together
Hmm.
and we're going through stuff. And Jen was like, "Do you want to take this?" And I'm like, "No, I want to sell that on eBay because I know I'm going to get more money on eBay than I would at the garage sale." And
Yeah.
you know, that, I mean, you could ask eBay prices at garage sales, but that's a
Hmm.
good point. I could admit defeat on that last question. I should
Okay.
have chose the A. It's just move on.
Yeah. So you got 2 out of 3, which is still passing. You just got to get 2 out of 3
That
to
is
pass. So
passing.
so well
Yep.
done.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. So no issues
Thank you.
there.
Those weren't hard. I wonder why I was so scared of those. Jeez.
I think it's the same issue as being scared of talking to strangers, where you're going to do some cold calls. Same core issue in your heart.
I know. Why is a cold call to me more scary than going to an estate sale and striking up a conversation with an old person to try
Yeah.
to get them down on their overpriced items? I
Yeah.
don't
Well, there's
understand.
already like the ice is already broken because you know that it's appropriate to go up to them and talk to them, right?
Yeah,
Because although that
true.
being said, okay, I gotta say this. That being said, like theoretically, the ice is broken because you can literally just go up and talk to whoever the seller is. You can ask them prices. You can start a
Mhm.
conversation with them. But I go to a ton of these sales where the seller has like a neighbor over or a friend, and they're just chatting, and I feel like I'm interrupting
Mhm.
them, and they don't want to
Yeah.
talk to me, and it's kind of frustrating.
I've seen that on your face
Oh
before at a
my
couple that
gosh.
we
Like,
went
do you
to.
mind if sorry, I'm just trying to buy something at the sale that you have here. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. You
Anyway,
mind helping me? The
but yeah,
worst
you
one
got
is I
anything
can't
else?
the worst one is I can't figure out who was running the yard sale. So I don't
Oh,
know who to
right.
talk to about prices.
Right. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
an issue too for sure. So hey,
Yeah.
we'll do a pet peeves episode and see if we can come up with solutions for these things.
Ooh, that'd be a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, to do a little kind of follow up, I teased on a couple of things. Jen has agreed to start selling. So she got her first couple of sells, and then we're gonna start for those of you that don't know, I've been building out a van that we like to travel in. So we're gonna start traveling more and hopefully going to some different areas so we can source more material and bring it back with us. And
Right on,
it's
man.
really excited to be working with her. It's pretty cool to see her so excited and
You can't
enthusiastic.
keep on talking about her and not have her on the show. So we'll have to get her on the show if she's comfortable here soon enough. So
Nice.
yeah.
Maybe we'll get you in there.
Okay.
So I'm a little afraid that she's gonna do a lot better than me. She's got some pretty quality listings up already. It's pretty neat.
You should
She's got some.
like that's your wife. You shouldn't be afraid. You should be excited if she does better than you.
It's a little competition. I went
Oh
up the
no, it's
line. Come
funny for
on.
your family, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we can make more. How about you?
Oh,
What's going on with you?
that's it, man. That's all I got. I shared my grocery store story, and I think it's a wrap for me. So, fellow
All right.
pickers, it's time to find your own treasures, one story at a time.
And remember, it's not reselling if you're taking bad pictures.